we'll gather around, feel the love come down. Blue elephant is strong.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to try something new, but first, I got some happy mail from Jazzy Granny. So thank you so much, Jazzy Granny, for this. She got me one of the little, I don't know if they're still called pudding jar molds, but the little jar with the lid. I love these jars. I really do. And she got me some new eco powder. Now I've not tried this brand before, so I am looking forward to trying it. And how did you know? I ran out. I ran out. I've been doing it so much lately. I ran out. So thank you so much. You guys you guys are so wonderful to me. I have the best viewers. I thank you so much for supporting me. Each and every one of you. You don't even know. Okay, on to today's video. So, I want to try and do a geode painting. Now, I don't think I've ever done anything before, and I've definitely not done resin on canvas, not like this. So, we're going to see how it goes and if I can do this, cuz why not? I think they're gorgeous. I've seen some done. I've seen some videos on YouTube about it, so I want to try. So I'm using the canvas board as opposed to an actual like canvas, like stretch canvas. So this is what we're gonna do. I did take some painter's tape and put it along the back, and then I am just cutting off the excess, and this should hopefully allow me to be able to just peel off any drips just like you would if you were doing a top coat, a flood coat, whatever, on a coaster or whatever. You put tape on the back of it and you can just peel it right off, right? So in theory, that's what's going to happen. Now, I typically don't use tape. Typically, I use glue because that's just what I prefer. It's a lot easier. It does take longer, but I didn't think glue would work on the back of this, so we're not going to do that. Now, I am using some of this folk art. It's like a color shifting purple, teal, blue type paint that I thought would be just a nice background this way. I don't necessarily know that it's gonna peek through. It could, it might not. Who knows? But we're gonna cover this. It's gonna seal it in anyway. And I think because I'm choosing like teal, white, and silver to use as my geode, and purple and teal look really nice together. So I thought even if this does pop through a little bit here or there, yeah, it might not be an actual geode, but it's fine. The colors will be pretty, right? So of course I poured way too much acrylic paint down. So I'm just, instead of wasting it as I kind of go over the canvas, I'm just putting the excess back in my bottle. Then we're going to let this completely dry before we attempt to put any resin on here whatsoever. Now, I do have this on a tray that I can move, and it is level, and I've got it sitting on 4 cups. And then I'm just going to divide my resin. Now, for this, I am using Let's Resin's Fast Cure. Um, I've watched some videos. I never paid attention to what they use as far as in terms of what kind of resin. I don't want this to move for very long. Like, I want it to have a little bit of move to it, but I don't need it to move forever. I honestly don't really have the space to keep something like this out like it because very, it's not large. It's only an 8 by 10 size, but it's in the way. So I'm going to use Fast Cure. I figured this way I'm not going to have so much as in the form of runoff, because the areas where I can move this to so that I don't get resin, like I don't have a whole lot of space as far as that goes right now until my office is finished. But that's going to be a while for now. So I thought Fast Cure would be the way to go. I don't have to worry about a lot of movement, which means I don't have to worry about a whole lot of dripping off in theory. So, colors. I am using turquoise chunked glass, like mirrored glass. I am using Let's Resin's Ocean White Pigment Paste. I'm going to use it's Recollections. I think it's a turquoise. I'll have everything listed below and all the links and any of that if you're interested in any of these colors. And then another Let's Resin, it's sky blue, something like that. Again, the colors will all be listed below. And we're going to go with one alcohol ink. Now, I don't necessarily know if this was a wise decision because it is transparent, but we're going to go with it anyway. We're just going to use a little bit of the aquamarine in here just to I just want to have like a variety of colors that will blend out and do their thing and make it pretty. I could be going overboard. I'm not sure. And then if you didn't see, I did mix up some of Larrabee's. I think it's Litterbees, something like that. Silver mica powder. The glass. Okay, so I started putting it on, and then I realized I only had 2 cups under at this point, and 4 cups is a better idea because I'm gonna knock this thing off. It's not very sturdy. So I'm just kind of putting it in where I think I want the crystal part of the geode to go. Like I don't I've watched some videos, but I don't necessarily know if there is a rhyme or reason to how or the shapes or how they're supposed to be. Like I didn't do a whole lot of research. I saw it, I thought it was pretty. I decided I wanted to try it, so that's what I'm going to do. So I could be doing this completely wrong, but it's fine. It's fine. So I'm just kind of picking out 3 spots on here where I want to put the big glass, and we're going to go back in with some smaller filler glass later on after we do our first kind of layer on here and kind of shaping it the way that I want it to go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm taking some of my clear resin, and I don't want to lose the sparkle of the glass. If you completely cover it in resin, it's going to go just like your rhinestones and stuff like that. And you're just going to lose all of the sparkliness of it, right? And that's not what I want. So I'm just kind of drizzling the resin off of my craft stick and kind of like X patterns, going one way, going another way. This way, hopefully a little bit of resin touches the majority of the pieces and it will hold it into place. After we do this first coat, if some doesn't, we'll get off the loose ones later or we'll fix it, but I don't want it to be completely covered. And then I'm just taking the rest of the clear resin that I have, pouring it over here, just all over my canvas. I did heat it up a little bit to pop bubbles, and then I'm just going to take my little spatula scraper tooly thing, and I'm going to smooth it all over the canvas. Now, again, I'm not sure if people typically use clear on it or not. I don't know. I just thought that maybe with a small base layer of clear down on the bottom that it would help the movement and the flow of the colors that I'm going to put on top so that once I get them on, they'll flow a little bit easier because it's not straight on to dried canvas board. Now I'm going in with my white, and I decide that I want the white kind of right up against where the glass is. So I'm just kind of pouring just a little bit right at the very edge of the glass, just kissing it a little bit. And then I wasn't really sure what to do from this point. So I figured I know they're kind of sort of like lines-ish, so I know that there should be some going around the general shape of where the crystals are coming out, right? But I wasn't sure if I should have like straight lines, if they should just all be that way, or exactly how to go. I should have done more research on this, but I didn't. So we're just going to kind of, for the most part, go around each one of the crystals. And I'm just going to kind of take a thin line with my colors and go in there in theory in the kind of the same order so that it's blended into the colors. Like I don't necessarily want too much of one color, and I know that if I put too much silver it can very easily kind of take over the entire piece, and that's not what I want. Now hindsight, I would have done a lot of things differently. I plan on doing this again. It'll be a while, but I do want to actually learn how to do this the proper way because I think that I would love like a three, like on the huge canvas, like 3 different ones kind of flowing into each other in our living room. I think would be really pretty. But before I get into that kind of expense for the canvas and all the resin and all the things, I need to learn how to do it on a smaller scale first. So I'm just kind of going in with the white for the white lines and all of the other colors. And then now that I pretty much have the basic gist of where I want my colors, now I'm just going to kind of go back in and add some more color, add some more of the resin just to give it enough, because there's not necessarily enough. It's not completely covering the entire board, and I want it to do that. I also do want it to drop off of the sides so that I get a good resin like cover underneath the sides of the board. I think that's what I want. I mean, I know it's what I want. I'm just not sure if I'm going about any of this in the right way. So after I add all my colors, I will hit it very lightly and briefly with a heat gun, and then we're just gonna kind of let it do its thing and see how it turns out. Now, where you can see a lot of the purple going through, I will go in there and kind of just move the resin closer to the stone so that there's not so much purple peeking through. Like, I don't mind a little bit possibly, but I don't really want you to see it. So, either way, whether I did this right or wrong, I'm going to be honest, like I really did have a good time doing this. If you've not tried this before, you really should. Even even if you don't want to necessarily do geode style, right? Just the pouring on the canvas and creating a different kind of fluid art, like different other than putting it into a mold or whatever, is a lot of fun, and I want to do it again. Now, I right here, this is where I messed up. I had a little bit of clear that I had another cup because I was going to put some glitter in here at this point and then change my mind. So I wanted to add a little bit more white to get it in closer to where this purple is showing. And I just added the clear to the cup with the non-existent white that was left in there. And instead of adding more pigment, I just mixed it up. So it's very transparent and you can see it where I'm pouring it, how it is not a true white whatsoever. It is actually more like almost like a skim milk consistency, to where it just is very transparent and not good. And I should have not done that. I should have not been lazy, and I should have added a little bit more of the pigment paste to it, because it probably would have been a lot better. Now I am liking, you can already see the way that it's starting to move and kind of move around those crystals, and I think it's kind of cool. I like how the bottom is kind of going, minus the see-throughy part, but first time, I'm obviously not going to get it right the first time. Now I am going along the edges and making sure that I have resin kind of dripping down all of the edges. So I'm just taking a little bit that I have, and granted, it's not the same color, which I know I should be doing, but I'm out of some of the colors, so I'm just kind of tapping the one color along the side so that it's going to help encourage the resin to flow over all the way around the board, if that makes sense. And now I'm pretty much just basically using up the rest of my colors, putting in an extra silver line here because I thought it needed to be broken up just a little bit more. So honestly, it's just I only have the tiniest little bit of silver left, and I'm just dragging just the smallest line of it all the way from the top of the board to the bottom of the board, because I do have it sideways. So the top is where I'm at now, the bottom is the opposite side, obviously. Just to kind of give you an idea of the way that it's going to be orientated. I just couldn't fit it all in screen, and half of it would be dripping off my table if I had it in the other orientation. So just so that you guys know. Yeah. But I am just going through and adding a little bit of resin here or there where I think that it's missing and I need a little bit more, and that's it. That's We're just gonna kind of finish this up, add where it needs to be added, use the resin that I need. I do have some left over because I really wasn't sure exactly how much I was gonna need. I knew that there was gonna be runoff. that's evident because of what it is. I just wasn't sure how much runoff there was going to be, how much I needed to make it so that it stayed on the board and not all ran off, you know? So it's a learning curve, but it's a fun learning curve, honestly. Now, the other thing that I probably should have used and I didn't was a torch. I used my heat gun, and I know most artists who do the stuff on your canvas boards and stuff like that where there's not a mold involved use actual torches, but I'm gonna be real with you guys for a minute. One, well, I know where it's at, but it's empty. And filling them with butane, I don't know why, but it scares me like so much. I won't do it. I make my husband do it for me. I don't know why. It's not like I've ever had like some horrible experience with it. I think I'm honestly deep down inside worried that I'm gonna blow myself up in doing it. And like I said, I'm being real with you guys. But I know that if I can get over the fear of using it, and I have used it before here and there, I think that if I can get over the fear, I think it would have turned out better because that's how you can get those cells from the white pigment paste and stuff like that. You could get the cells from torching it. Okay, so 24 hours later, this is all nice and dry, and you can see how it cured, and we have a lot more purple than I really wanted, but we're gonna do some things. I am wiping it down just with a little bit of alcohol and a paper towel, just in case, because I was handling it without gloved fingers and I don't want anything to kind of stop it from curing and having, I don't want any fish eyes in this at all. Now we're gonna have some fun. Now I know I've not seen this done, so I don't know if anybody else has done this before or not, but I'm using UV resin, and I'm going to take some silver glass glitter. We're going to do some paint pen. We're going to do some smaller turquoise glass and just a whole lot of things to this. But I'm going to use UV resin to tack it down because I want it to be where I want it to be. And I only want to put one more coat on this as our top coat. And I don't want any of this to move. So I'm not going to use epoxy. I figured a little bit of UV resin would be good. Now, here's the thing that I learned from doing this. It works great as a binding agent, right? And it keeps everything where I want it. And I'm just putting the tiniest bit in. Like, honestly, it's just enough just to coat the glass so that it'll stay once I put it on here, and then I'm not worried about it like completely covering it because once I pour my top coat on, that's going to do that for me. I just need it to be able to not move when I put the other things on it. No. I just want it to not move when I go to put the top coat on it. So that will kind of take care of any sharp edges that may be there or anything like that. So I'm not worried about this. This just needs to hold it stationary in place until I am completely finished with all of the little extra bits and stuff that I want to add on to it. So I am taking the silver and I'm going just along the inside edges of each one of these little areas. I didn't want to do around the whole thing. I kind of wanted them to stand out on this part. So that's kind of what I chose to do. And then I'm taking the Let's Resin UV flashlight and literally like 5 seconds and it's cured. Guys, I haven't properly done a review on this. They just sent this to me recently, and I will have one where I actually go into a little bit more detail and compare it to some of the other ones that I've used. But this thing is amazing. Like, amazing. Love it so far. Absolutely love it. All right, so now I'm just taking a little bit. This is transparent. It's transparent, but it's got like a color shifting. There's some purples and stuff in this turquoise glass that I have, and I added a little bit of holographic extra fine glitter to it just because I want more sparkles in that glass. I want it to, when it hits the light, I mean, I want all the sparkle there. So I thought a little bit, and I'm just kind of going over. I'm not putting it like I'm putting it everywhere, but not everywhere, if that makes sense. I'm putting it all along the pieces where the big glass is, but I'm kind of going inside where there's like big holes just to kind of fill up the holes where the other glass didn't. If that makes sense, if you guys get what I'm saying. And then cure it for a few seconds, and then we're gonna go over and we're gonna add all kinds of other stuff to it. I guess while I do this part, I'm just gonna kind of bounce off here. I'll be back when we are like in the next kind of step for this that you can kind of see what I'm doing because it's kind of the same thing. Silver glitter over it. I'm going to do the same thing, and then I'm going to kind of take some of my glitters and go along the middle of those lines. So I'm going to take some silver and go along this silver part, take some iridescent white and go along some of those just in the middle of those big white lines just to kind of bring some sparkle in there. I'm not doing anything with the green. I just figured for the silver and the white because that's kind of like your more of your focal point that I wanted to do that. Now the only thing that, and this is what I was trying to say like 45 minutes ago, the only thing that I've noticed about using the UV resin like this is that you may want to do two top coats because I just did the one, and because of the way that the resin is a little bit higher, if it doesn't stay on thick enough, you can see that UV resin kind of poking through because of, whatever the height was on it that it cured at, if that makes sense. So, but I mean, I think it did a great job all in all. Anyway, okay, I will be back when we're ready for the next
Beneath
step.
the moon's enticing glow, crystal sparkling in a row, whispers in the stardust breeze, magic woven through the trees, gemstone dreams and cobalt skies, mystic secrets in your eyes, every touch a spell uncurls, twilight world of wondrous pearls, dancing in the moonlit hues, crystals shine like love's own muse, each reflection tells a tale, eternity within a veil, in the night the shadows play, guiding heartbeats come what may, enchantments linger ever near, whispered words that only we hear, casting charms with every glance, mystic rhythms, hearts in trance, bound by forces pure and true, crystals shine for me and you. Dancing in the moonlit hues, crystals shine like love's own muse, each reflection tells a tale, eternity within a veil, in the night.
Okay, I'm back. So I'm just kind of taking a little bit of the UV resin and the iridescent glitter and just wiping the tiniest amount just on the tips of some of the glass just to give it a little bit of extra shine. Now, they're like mylar flakes, but not. I forget what they're called, but they have like a super shiny, it's almost like diachromatic film kind of sort of, that when the light hits it, you get the rainbow effect from it. And I put a little bit on there. Did the same thing with the UV resin and the exit position because I didn't want to cover the entire thing and ruin all of the sparkle that I put on there, and cured that on. And now I'm just going in with my paint pens and adding to the lines. Now, this is where I think I didn't do it right. I don't know. I don't know. I know that they outline them with paint pens, but I feel like I did it wrong. Some of it looks okay, some of it not so much. I don't know if I should have gone in even where the resin wasn't in that color. Kind of like how I did the silver on the the left-hand side where I kind of extended it longer. If I was supposed to do more of that or less of that, or I don't know. I don't know. I did go in with my eyeliner brush here and start with the white because I wasn't necessarily liking how the white was looking. This white paint pen it's garbage, but I really, really wanted that hard white line. So I started with the eyeliner brush and then ended up just saying screw it and doing it with the actual paint pen itself. And I mean, it kind of worked a little bit better, but at the same time, mm, like I said, it was a garbage paint pen. I need to get a new one. Now, the bottom part where those crystals are, that is my favorite part out of all of it. But I wish I did not do the white lines with a marker on it. I wish that I had maybe outlined the silver instead of the white, but I didn't put the silver glitter down in that part. I just put the white, and I thought it would look weird if I didn't, but then I thought it would look weird if I had both. So I just ended up going with the white in there, and I don't know. It's the lines that I'm not sure about if I like it. Like, that's the part that kind of ruins it for me, and I feel like that's the part that should have made it. So, I don't know. I've got mixed feelings about this part right here. This is where I think I really truly messed up. I just don't think that that should have been like that. But I don't know. I mean, all in all, for a first time doing it, I think it turned out really pretty. So we'll see. All right. Now for our last layer of resin, just to top coat it and make sure that we seal everything in. And I'm just using Let's Resin's tabletop epoxy for this. And I mean, it's the perfect resin to use. It's thick. It's not going to do a whole lot of moving once I put it down, which I don't want it to do. And it's going to coat everything beautifully, and I'm not going to have to worry about bubbles. But I am going over the top of the glass again, just like I did with the epoxy. And this is going to help any of those like mylar flakes that didn't kind of get stuck down with the UV resin, just to seal them in the rest of the way. And then all the way around the glass, and for the rest of it, I'm pouring on the tabletop epoxy. We're going to heat it up with a heat gun just to kind of make it move a little bit easier and smooth it out. Make sure that it's all covered. Do not want to go over my stones because, again, I don't want to lose all of that crystal just beautifulness to it. And we're going to let this cure and I guess clean it up after, get all the drips and stuff off the back once we're done. But we'll wait and 24 hours and see how it looks. I did take quite a bit of time just fooling around with this just to make sure that it was touching all of the stones just at the edge and that it was completely an even layer. Okay, so 24 hours later, here we are. Now it's time to peel off this tape and get all of our drips off. And let me tell you, I don't know what the issue was, but I had a time doing this. It took for freaking ever. I even tried heating it up and I've never had to do that before. Because, if you get drip stuck down there and you can't get it off or whatever, they say heating it up with the heat gun, it makes it softer, whatever, and makes it easier to come off. I struggled with this. The tape wouldn't come off. It was ripping the back of the canvas board. It was made me have a hard, like, sharp edges all the way around the edge of my painting. Like, it was just completely terrible. And I cut a lot of this out. Like, I bet you it took me a good 15-20 minutes easy to get all of this off. And even still, there's still bits underneath there that you can see it's just ripping it. Like, it was just the thing. So any of you that maybe have done this before or used the canvas board, what do you use on the back? Because unless there's something wrong with my tape or whatever, I don't know. I've never had this issue before to where I've had such a hard time getting the backing off like this. Let me know what you do that makes it easier, that will come off and I won't have this. Like, I actually had to go around and file the sharp edges off when I was done because of how sharp they were. Like, it was awful, awful, awful. Anyway, all in all, I think it's pretty. There's a lot of things that I would do differently, and I would definitely do a little bit more research and actually pay attention before I go to do my next one to make sure that I'm doing it right, especially with the lines. I love the trick with the UV resin, doing it on there. I think that just it made it a lot. That's a wrap on this one, guys. Like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. I will see you on Thursday in the next one. Love you. Bye.
Blue elephant is strong. Together we belong. In every comment, right? You lift me to new heights. Your support, it's clear, gives me reason to cheer.